Nimzo-Larsen attack is probably the most sneaky and tactical chess opening ever, and I will show you a way of playing this opening that will result into you winning many games before move 12. So let's get started. So the Nimzo-Larsen attack starts with the move b3, and we have this main idea that we want to develop our bishop along this long diagonal and target this pawn on e5 right from the start. Of course, black has different moves. They don't have to play e5. They can also play d5, knight f6, some other lines as well. We will take a look at that further down the video. But most players will play pawn to e5. About 1 in every 2 games you will have this variation. We play immediately bishop b2, putting pressure, and now it's up to black to find a way to defend this pawn. They will usually play knight c6 to defend this, and then you have e3. And the goal with e3 is to develop this bishop, eliminate the knight, and then again we can win the pawn in the center, because this knight is the only piece defending it. d5 is the most common move by black, taking up the entire center, and you can also have some other first starting moves from black that will always result into this position. Here we play bishop b5, pinning this knight, so we are immediately threatening to win this pawn, and many players already go wrong here with black. Already here on move 4 they play something that will lose material. So we are going to take a look at many of the common mistakes here for black. The first one is probably a6. With a6 they think, well, we can kick away this bishop, but you can take, and bam, we are winning this pawn on e5 because it no longer is defended by the knight. Bishop d7 is also a common move because they want to stop the pin, but here again, captures, bam, winning the pawn. And you might think, wow, these moves are a little bit silly, why would black play this? But things like bishop d7 here is actually the second most played line by black. So many black players go wrong in the first moves against this opening. So this doesn't work. If they try something like knight e7 to defend their other knight, that also doesn't work. This move is also played a lot, but you can just take this in the center. If they go for a6, capture, and really important here, play this move bishop g3. Because if you play this move bishop b2, you will run into this, and this is a bit annoying to face this. It is possible, but actually a move like king f1 has to be played, and you don't want to do that, so that's why you want to go back with the bishop there. e4 is another variation. They can just push and then ignore the center. By pushing, they are somewhat solving the problem that they had here on e5, but they are also opening up our bishop. Against this, you can just play some call move like knight e2, bishop d7, castles, and you just have easy plans, and it's a little bit annoying for black to face this because their pawns are so far in the center. For example, after knight f6, their pawns are so far in the center, you will have some counterplay here with d3, and still this bishop is eyeing down this diagonal. Knight f6 is also a move that they often play in this position, which of course also gives away this pawn for free immediately. f6 is also something that is played because they want to protect this pawn on e5. If they play this, you can go for d4, immediately threatening to win the pawn again. This will usually result into them playing e4, and then you have knight e2, and just some basic plans here with castling, c4, and putting a lot of pressure in the center as well. d4 is also possible in this position, so they just push the pawn. If they do this, you can play knight f3. The most played variation goes like bishop g4, this exchange, and here there are already many tricks from white. For example, knight e7, castles, and then you go for something like this with bishop c4, immediately threatening checkmate here, and our queen is also trying to play for tricks on the long diagonal. The most played variation here goes f6 by black, and then you can take. And here it depends, of course. The most played move is knight takes, which immediately loses because of bishop takes. And here our rook is hanging, but we will just ignore this and play this move queen takes b7. If they capture the rook, well, you can take their rook with check. They have to move the king, and bam, this queen is actually trapped because there is no way for her to escape, so she has to sacrifice herself for the knight. And this is clearly losing. Of course, they don't have to capture your rook. They can also play something more safe, like rook c8, and then you can just play knight c3. And again, if you just take a quick look at this position, white is castled, white is developed, and this black position is just horrible. Queen d6 in this position is also something they can try as an extra defender for e5 pawn. Here you can actually play queen h5, putting more pressure here. Many players will go wrong. Almost everybody will go wrong here with the move like knight f6, thinking that they are accomplishing something. But again, queen takes e5, check, and if the queen captures, bishop takes, and you are up a pawn again in this position, and this is also still pinned. Queen f6 here is also sometimes played, but again, same tactics, queen h5. The most played variation goes with bishop d6, and then you can play this move f4. And f4 is a really good move in the Nimzo-Larsen attack, because here you are pinning this pawn, this is weak, so they can't capture you, and you have an extra pawn attacking the center. Here they often play a move like g6, chasing away your queen, but you can just ignore this, take here in the center, they will capture your queen, and then you can take here. And if you take a look at this position again, white will just have a good game, castle in 2 moves, we still have this pin, we have this pawn, so it's really annoying to play this from the black side. Sometimes a move like queen g5 will also be played early on, because they think, well, we have some tricks here against this pawn, and we're also defending this at the same time. If you face this, just play knight f3, and they will capture this, and then you have a move like rook g1, and their queen has to go back. You might think that you destroyed your castling position, but it doesn't really matter here, because we can still castle queenside, and we are also winning material. First, we will take this pawn, and then a move that is played a lot is something like bishop g4, knight g5, attacking the queen. And here we are also sacrificing our queen to go for this exchange. For example, often they will take here with the bishop, thinking they get a free pawn, and here there is an amazing move, rook takes g7. And of course, if they capture us, you can capture with the bishop, and you are also winning this, so they just lost the bishop in that variation. If they play something else, you can take here, you can sacrifice this bishop, you can take this knight, which is amazing, because after they recapture, you can take with check, and then also pick up this rook. So even this variation with queen g5 doesn't really work. And sometimes you will also see a move like bishop c5, but again, this just loses material. And all of this just to say that black really has to go for something like bishop d6 here, which is also the most played move. About 1 in every 2 games is bishop d6, but you will also get many games in which they play something else, and you will be able to do one of the many tricks that I showed you. So bishop d6, and here we will continue with our main line, f4, immediately f4, attacking this e5 pawn. Of course, here again, many ways for black to go wrong. If they capture you, bam, we are taking this, and this rook is lost, so it's not really a good idea to capture this. If they play a passive move, like for example bishop d7, you can do takes, and you can win this pawn in the center. So again, many ways for black to go wrong. If they play something like e4, which is also sometimes played, you can just capture this, win the rook. If they play something like queen f6 to defend this, you can play knight f3, and you will often get a variation like this. With takes, they will take here, and then you can again take this. If they take your queen, you take this. They will try to escape with the bishop, and you can win this rook. So this move also doesn't work, this move queen f6. Sometimes they will play something, as we have seen before, like a6, takes, you win a pawn in the center. Many players also play knight f6 in this position, takes, and we have a fork, and of course this doesn't work because this is still pinned. So every single line is just so incredibly amazing for white. I'm seeing if there is anything else that they can do here. Yeah, sometimes a move like d4 is also played. D4 here is also a move that you can see. D4, but you can capture here. Play knight f3. They will try to pin you, and then takes, castles. And this position is really good for white. For example, after knight f6, you can capture here. If they take you, you actually don't have to recapture here. There are amazing lines. For example, queen e1, just pinning this bishop. And this bishop is under attack, this bishop is under attack, the king hasn't castled. Many players will go back, you can just take here, and again, putting pressure on the knight, the king still hasn't castled. They will have to move the knight, c4, bishop has to move d4. And you can just see this amazing structure from white. We will be able to use our knight here as well. The rook is here, the queen is here. I mean, this is just incredible stuff from white. So you will be able to easily win in this position. Sometimes you will also see a move like knight e7 here, in which case you can also take because this is still protected. All of this to show there are so many ways that black can go wrong. just already here on this move, on this fifth move. The best way for black to play here is to play this move pawn to f6. That is the best way. Some players will also play queen to e7. That is actually the most played move. And against this queen e7 line, there are an incredible amount of tactics that I will just show you in a moment. Then later on we will also take a look at what to do if they play f6, which is the main line, because that's the best move, protecting this and also blocking this diagonal for a bishop. And also what to do if they throw in this check. We will take a look at that in a moment.